Hey you guys, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. I'm hopping on here real quick to just chat about something quickly. I'm a little fired up right now. And when I'm fired up, I tend to get passionate and I tend to swear. But I'm going to filter it for this because I know everybody's not into swears. So I'm going to try and do this without losing my cool. Okay, so my most recent post about mothers need to be heard. Guys, hey Joanna, so many of you have had the same experience I had. Whether you live in Canada, the US, I've seen people in New Zealand actually have had some incredible postpartum care, which is amazing. And hopefully we can learn some things from you guys. But if you look at the numbers and you look at the shares, there are so many of us that have gone into the hospital, had a baby, been sent home, and forgotten about when it comes to our healthcare system. The thing that inspired this post was I recently had surgery. For those of you that don't know my full story, back in January when I was about to give birth to my second son, I got diagnosed with a benign mixed tumor in my parotid gland, which is over here, and I just had it removed. So I have a scar and I underwent surgery. This surgery, I was sent home the same day, and the next day I got a call from a home care nurse. 2 days later, I was sent to something we have here called the CCAC, which is kind of like nursing care, and they cleaned up my stitches, they looked after me, and I went every 2 days for 2 weeks until my stitches were removed. And after that 2 weeks, I saw my surgeon. I had regular care. I had regular calls and check-ins. And that was just for having a tumor removed. Back in January, I had a C-section with my second son. They cut my abdomen open and they pulled a baby out. And then they sent me home with 2 kids under 2. Luckily, I had another baby at home, so I kind of knew what I was doing. I went through breastfeeding struggles. I was at the point where, breastfeeding didn't work out with my first son. If it didn't work out with my second son, I wasn't going to put myself through the hell of trying to get him to latch and exclusively pumping and driving myself crazy. I just wasn't willing to do it. I learned lessons in my first pregnancy and first year of motherhood that I learned from, and I didn't want to go through those challenges again. I had 2 complicated pregnancies. My first pregnancy, the first 20 weeks of the pregnancy, my son had some soft markers for Down syndrome. He had rare fluid in his brain that was building up. We had to make the decision to go through amniocentesis. Doctors were talking to us about possibly terminating the pregnancy. It was tough. It was incredibly difficult. And then finally, we got all of our testing back. Yes, Haley, it's when you have traumatic births, it's incredibly hard to bounce back from that and be thrown into motherhood and not take care of yourself. It's difficult. So I had the 2 complicated pregnancies. Both pregnancies I had threatened preterm labor. The first one was at 32 weeks with my first son. I was fine. They sent me home. Second pregnancy, it was at 30 weeks. I was 2 centimeters dilated and 70% effaced at 30 weeks. So I was taken by ambulance. I spent 2 weeks in a high-risk hospital away from my 13-month-old at the time. My pregnancies were very close. And I later learned that I have an irritable uterus. But I went through all of this stuff, was not in great mental health. And then I had my babies. So as I said, when I had the surgery on my neck, lots of care afterwards. With my C-section, my surgeon didn't see me, or my OB didn't see me until 8 weeks postpartum. I called, you can't get in any sooner. I had an infection in my stitches. I had to go to the emergency room. I couldn't see my doctor. My family doctor, she would see me but she wasn't an OB, so she couldn't deal with the complications that were kind of going on. When I was pregnant, I told my doctor, my OB, that I was suffering from some depression and I was worried about what was going to happen afterwards. She didn't do anything. Nothing. So then I had my baby. I spiraled into postpartum depression. I called mental health helplines, and I wasn't able to get in to see a doctor for 9 weeks. And when I did, it was $250 a pop. If I wanted to use the free services, there were wait lists. The wait lists were 2 months long at minimum. So the reason I'm saying all of this and the reason I'm all riled up is because I got a message today from someone I know saying that I shouldn't sit back and wait to be catered to, that I should ask for help when I need it, and that our healthcare system can't afford, our stellar healthcare system can't afford to spend any money on this sort of stuff. Well, for someone to say that is really unfortunate, because our healthcare system does need to spend money on this type of stuff. And I'm so grateful, and I wish everyone could have a positive birth and labor experience. I wish that you could have an OB and a midwife, but you only get to pick one. Here in Ontario, I wanted to use a midwife. I couldn't, and I can't moving forward as my primary caregiver because I'm considered high risk in my pregnancies. So I have to pay for that out of pocket. If I want a doula, I have to pay for that out of pocket. I don't necessarily have the money to pay for all of this additional help out of pocket. So it'd be really wonderful if we had some resources to give moms a chance. Lactation consultants paid for it out of pocket. The ones at the hospital forced breastfeeding on my son who couldn't latch. He got so dehydrated that he ended up almost having to be admitted for dehydration. And then when I paid for one out of pocket that was also a nurse, she was actually able to help me start pumping. She introduced a nipple shield. So anyways, I'm kind of getting off track here. I'm very riled up, but you know what? We are asking for help. A lot of times we are asking for help and no one is answering us. No one is answering our prayers. No one is hearing us. So I'm here. I'm standing here on my little platform and I am screaming from the rooftops that it is not easy for everybody. I have my 2 parents who help me out, my in-laws, and I'm very blessed to have a husband who is all hands on deck. And guys, I still spiraled into postpartum depression. I still fell through the cracks of our healthcare system. So with that being said, I just want to thank the person who kind of set this fire under my ass today by sending me that message, because I'm not just sitting back and waiting for people to hand me help. I've gone out there and I've asked for it and I've seen that it's not available. So with all of that being said, I want to reach out. I want to give all of you mamas a great big bear hug. I want to thank you for your shares on this post and your engagement and for getting the word out. And I really, really hope that we can make some positive change here. And I hope that we can form a community here where we feel safe, that we can come and speak with one another. I've been approached by a committee of mental health care professionals to sit on and be a mom representative to work towards a maternal health strategy. And I'm really excited about that. And this post is actually going to be up on the Today's Parents website later as well. So we're getting the word out. So my love to all of you. You're all doing a fantastic job. I know that it's not easy. I know sometimes you feel so very alone. But deep breaths, right? I wish I could say that there are resources out there for us. They're just not always available, and sometimes we have to wait for those resources, and we need to change that. So that's my rant for today. My love to you all. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I hope to talk to you all again soon. Bye for now.